What's happening, YouTube? I have an exciting one for you today. Joey Ball's Clutch Up Garage. Come check this thing out. 30-year-old 1994 Harley Davidson Dyna. We get to make this thing run. It has been sitting in the garage for 5+ years, and oh, am I excited to get into this thing. But first we got to make a run, then we got to make it roadworthy. So we're going to go through all the steps. I'm going to show you all the steps of how to get a 30-year-old Harley Davidson that's been sitting in a garage for 5+ years. Figure out what's wrong with it. Probably going to rebuild a carburetor. Just simple stuff. These things, it's an old Evo to pretty much run no matter what. So stay tuned. Super excited to get into this. Let's do it. Now, before we get started, I want to give you a little bit of history on the Harley Davidson Dyna. The Dyna line was introduced in 1993. This is a 1994, so second year for the Dyna. First Dynas, early Dynas, they came with the Harley Evolution engine. It's 1,340 cc's. This is the predecessor of the FXR. Of course, we know the FXR is a great bike. FXR had 3 rubber mounts. This has 2. Arguably one of the best setup bikes from the factory. They're sporty. Back then, they're still skinnier. This is a wide glide, so it does have the 41mm front end, so it's a little bit wider. Wide glide gets you a little bit more rake. Not the best for us stunt guys, but nonetheless, a super cool bike. Only has 21,000 miles on it. So this is a great starting platform. The gentleman that owned this actually passed away. It went to an estate auction. I put an appraisal on it for the people that were selling it, and it sold for $500 less than what I would say it would be worth the most. So congrats to them. I got great money for it. Now it is our job to make this thing right. So first things first, the new owner did say he put a new battery in this bike. So let's go ahead and, man, I hope he brought me a key. That would really suck. There's a key. All right. Oh yeah. So we got power. Headlight, tail light works. Right blinker works, left blinker works, and oof, horn's weak, but it's there. So, hell, I say we try to bump it over and just see what happens real quick. Throttle cables don't move at all. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the throttle cables will need replaced. I don't even know how that happens. Let's kick on the choke. Ooh, that's crusty feeling. Turn on some fuel and just see if we can get this thing to at least do something. All right, so no fire there as expected. Run around here to the tank and let's see what is inside this tank. Fuel gauge is showing completely empty. Well, the fuel gauge is accurate. There is not a drop of fuel on this side. Stinks in there too. Smells like old fuel. So probably going to go ahead and pop this off, flush that out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the seat off, pop this dash off, pull this tank. When we have a little bit more room down there, I'll test for spark. Check the spark plugs. Figure out why these cables do nothing. I mean, I don't want to snap them, but they really don't do anything. So let's go ahead and do that. Seat off, tank off, and then we'll be back. Okay, so now we have the fuel tank off. Looking pretty good so far. I mean, it's still got factory markings on it, which is pretty surprising at 30 years old. But we are going to have to replace all fuel lines, get this tank cleaned as best we can. These are actually some of the most rotted fuel lines I personally have ever seen. So I would say this bike has not been on the road for quite some time. I mean, these fuel lines are just disintegrating in my hands here. So we're going to go ahead and pop these spark plugs out, test for spark, which I'm confident we have, but it's always good to test. Very white on the top. White is lean, too lean. I would bet when this thing ran, it probably popped and backfired and all that good stuff. All right, let's test for some spark. So what you do to test for spark, I'll go on the other side. Plug your spark plug in. Make sure you are not touching the plug itself. Ground it out on a bolt. Crank starter over. That's not a good sign. No spark. Let's test another spark plug. A known good spark plug. See what this bad boy is here. No spark on the front cylinder so far, but it could just be the spark plug. Let's ground it. There we go. So spark plugs are bad, as expected. Let's get this rear cylinder, see what it's going to do for us. Well, weak spark on the front, and I'm not seeing spark on the rear here. I'm not seeing fire, which is not a good sign. Well, let's go ahead, pop the carburetor off, because I know it's gunked up, judging by those fuel lines. And then I'll put a couple different spark plugs in there. Could be these wires too, they're pretty old and beat. I have some extra spark plug wires we could maybe try. And we'll might have to chase these wires. I'm not seeing a bad ground anywhere or anything like that. Luckily not seeing a bunch of crappy wiring anywhere. So that's a good sign. But yeah, let's pop this carburetor off and check it out. My bet, it's pretty shot. Okay, so far we're 0 for 2, which is not the start we were looking for. I kind of figured this being an old Harley, it would just be a couple tiny little things and boom, we'd be rocking. But I think 5 years might have been a generous estimate, judging by those fuel lines. By those lines, I haven't seen any that bad, so I'm thinking maybe 7 to 10 years this thing's been sitting. Oh my goodness. So, this carburetor, the diaphragm and slide do not move at all. That's the first time I've also ever seen that. Oh, there we go. It's got vacuum. Feels kind of cruddy. 5 years was a very generous estimate on how long this has sat. I'm saying 30 years old, 21,000 miles. What's that, an average of 800 miles a year? Don't judge me on my math. Not many miles. So, no, not even 800. That's like, yeah, that's impressive. So this bike has sat a lot more of its life than it's ran, I think. So, we're going to pull this carb off. I think I have enough parts here to probably rebuild this. And that would explain why them cables didn't move. Oh my goodness. Everything. And I mean everything. Whew. There's one. She's crusty. She's dusty. She's an old Harley. I don't know if this one's going to come off at all. I might have to get a smaller Allen. There she went. All right. I just had red Loctite on them. Don't do that, kids. Don't put red Loctite on those. Loctite's okay. Blue. This thing ain't a rattle box. It's not a rigid. Guess we should make sure it has some wool in it. It's got pretty much new wool in it. So that's good. I will have to find a date code on these tires. That will tell more of a story than we have right now. All right. So I can get the slide to move. Man, it feels like shit. Wow, the seal back here is completely cracked. Let's pop these in here. Give her a shot of the juice and just see if we can get it to backfire or something. Okay. I don't think this will even turn. It's truly impressive. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Hopefully something. Right. We've got fire. Cool. Okay. That's a good sign. So it'll run on ether. Let's, I have never seen a carb this stuck. The butterfly will not move. So we're going to go ahead and pop this off and crack her open and show you guys the goodies that I get to find. On me. Look at that. Look at that, guys. Isn't that beautiful? Not what you want to see. Go ahead and get this choke cable off. And I'm probably just going to have to unscrew the cable stay from the carburetor to get this thing to do anything. Delaminating itself, the seal is. Impressive. If I wanted to test this quickly, I do have a China carb. China. That I purchased to steal some parts out of, because the China carbs, I've seen some guys running. Prison Supply threw one on one of their choppers one time I saw. Check that out. Completely just crusty. Yeah, I saw Prism throw a China carb on one of their choppers, and it ran. So, but I bought that because I was going to buy a rebuild. I was missing one part out of a carburetor, and I was looking at the cost of the rebuild, and I was like, well, shit, I can buy a whole carburetor and have extra parts. I mean, extra innards, extra jets, extra bowl if you need it, because it really is a decent knockoff on Amazon. I'll give it to them. That thing is dang stuck on there. So we're going to grab a different screwdriver and a hammer and give this a couple tappy taps where we're not going to damage anything. And see if she'll break loose. Man. Okay. Dropping everything. There she went. Buy screwdrivers you can put wrenches on. Might save a screw or two. All right. I mean, the cables don't feel good. Are they usable for now to get it running? Probably. So, check this out. It's very, very tough. That's supposed to snap back real quick. So, oh, cool. Ooh, that stinks. Orange, friends. Orange gas. Ooh, that stinks. All right. Let me get my tray. Might have to kick open the garage door after that one. That is some nasty fuel. Holy cow. That is some of the worst smelling fuel my nose has ever been blessed to smell. Okay. I'm going to clean up my fuel mess real quick and run this excess fuel and set it outside. And we'll get back to rebuilding the carburetor. Realized my microphone was not working, so you didn't get the fun commentary of that, but I can tell you the smell. I wish you could smell through the phone because it was really something terrible. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. Don't tell nobody, but I'm going to cheat real quick just to make sure this thing does run. I have a Amazon special China carb, and probably not set up for this bike, but it's a CV40 knockoff, and it is strikingly similar. Kind of a good tool to have laying around the shop, I guess, because you can cheat this way and see if a bike may run. Let me just add a little bit more to this. But I don't have the vacuum lines hooked up, so I'm hoping it'll feed by that. Give her a few sprays. All right. Let's see what happens. On. Fire in the hole. Choke's on. Getting there. Open up the throttle a little bit. Good sign. All right. Dash fell off the side. But other than that, I am curious if the oil light will go out. Because that's a little important. Very important, actually. So the oil light does shut off. So we've got oil pumping. We've got it running. So we know most of our issue is just going to be cleaning the carburetor, cleaning the fuel tank. We'll replace the fluids here soon, I'm sure. But I cheated. It does run. So that's cool. 30 years old, sitting for this long. Good sign to see. And the intake seals did not sound like they're leaking. A little loose in here, which I'll tighten all these bolts up. Oh, I'm here, actually. I take that back. I am going to go ahead and replace the intake seals because I'm already here. So, very cool, friends. It sounds super healthy. Okay, guys, and that's a wrap for today. Super exciting day. We got to hear this old girl breathe for the first time. They told me 5 or so years it hasn't ran. I just checked the date codes on the tires. Front's 06, rear is 05. So I'm saying at least 10 years since this thing has ran. But we cheated a little bit. Nonetheless, I'm going to order a carburetor rebuild, get a quote over to the customer, replace all the primary gaskets just to be safe so that way it doesn't come back and say, hey, this thing's still messed up. But nonetheless, she breathes fire again. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to do probably some more videos on this and plenty more videos on all the other crap that I have and stuff I do. So again, like, subscribe, tell your friends. We just crossed over 500 subs. I appreciate y'all a bunch. Hoping to break 1,000 here before the end of the year and kind of just build it up as we go. But this will be a longer part series on this old girl, get her back to the bike she once was. So really excited, really exciting day. Thank you guys again for watching.